congratulate the members of the party that were able to participate in the recently concluded election, especially the ones that are here. Thank you so much for carrying the party.
About what transpired during the election, and then I shall be open to any questions or any area which I might not have tackled effectively. But I want to start on an area which I've heard stories left and right about what transpired and what occurred that Jimmy Akena ended up in a jury tally center while other things were taking place. The circumstances of a jury was such that I, in Lira, had actually even gone to bed. What had transpired earlier in the day in Lira City was so disappointing, and I'd actually retired very early. So while in bed, I received a call that something funny is going on in that room. I asked my candidates and my team there, do we have the ER forms? They said they were collecting the forms, but they didn't have all of them. I said, when you get all of them, and if the numbers are okay, let me know, and I shall be there. Eventually, we got all the forms, and we found that we had the advantage. So, while in a situation or in a state where others will be tweeting, I have to now find my way to a jury tally center to protect a win of UPC. I want to make this absolutely clear. I was not looking for anyone, I was not targeting anyone. I was protecting the victory which we had won at the ballot box. What was trying to be done was altering the results at the tally center. And in an election, you imagine an election where I have to be in a tally center to block at the goal line. Everything is finished. We have voted, the declaration form is there. But it took the presence of Jimmy Akena in a tally center of a jury, electoral tally center, to stop a wrong declaration. I went through the whole night battling this. The whole next day battling this. What sort of election were we holding where things can be changed in a tally center? It happened on the 15th in electoral. It continued in Lira City, was a different issue. I'll go on to that one. But when we had the city elections and the district elections, again, I had to go to the tally center in Lira City to stop a wrong declaration. On the 27th, when we actually got the victory in the jury, I had to come back to Lira for the division, mayor, and the councillors. Again, they were trying to change it at the tally center. So I asked myself, was this an election? Or what can we describe it as? Throughout this period, I came across these assistant RTCs, assistant RCCs. Those were just a menace and a disgrace to anything called democracy. In the case of Lira, they were moving around with thugs, moving with sticks on motorcycles, threatening, calling out our leaders, our candidates, and threatening. One such leader had gone to the army saying he was under threat, was given armed escort. On the eve of the city election, that same person is torturing or threatening our councillor or councillor-elect for Lira City, a widow. This man comes there with an armed escort, which he got on the officers that he was under threat, and he's threatening the UPC candidates. Do we call this an election? In Lira City, I have never seen the sort of deployment which I saw in this election. I don't know if people saw the footages. You find a single file of maybe 2,000 people, 2 kilometers, walking around the city. But there were things which are happening behind the scenes. I distributed letters for agents on the night before. When you moved around the city, you found these people, of course, the ones on foot on patrol. Then I found 2 company strength units on motorcycles, and plus 2 gangs on motorcycles with sticks and moving around. Some of these were threatening our leaders. Some of the leaders were not in their homes. I distributed, I saw what was on the street, and I knew this did not walk away. Election day, the failure of the PVVK machines left us all in confusion. In Little City, our agents were chased from the Electoral Commission stores at 6:45 in the morning. In other words, I lost sight of all the voting material at 6:45 in the morning. They did not appear in many of the police stations until after 2 p.m. As we investigated where they were and what was happening, there were many things we came across, which I must say clearly, my views at the end of an election is the people who must be the winners. And you see it in their attitude, celebration, satisfaction. The process of election, we debate ideas, we debate issues of where the problems of Uganda are or where the issues are. And hopefully it is well expressed at the end. What took place was, at least in Mira, this result of Mira is the army, decision of the army, not the decision of the voters. And in some of these issues, I must thank God. I thank God for small mercies, because I can say this clearly without any fear of contradiction. After what took place in Little City, there is no way, anywhere under the sun that Yoweri Museveni can continue talking about Milton aborted and the 1980 elections. It's not possible. You cannot have it on the same plane. You go to that extent of rigging. The army took over the whole place. We don't have any idea where the material was. And this was the excuse for going to the bush. Elections were rigged. Army involvement, honestly. 2026, I think we have cleared that one once and for all. And I hope for all eternity now, we are not going to keep having this story that aborted rigged 1980, aborted rigged 1980. It is nonsense. What we saw in 2026 across board, don't need to bring that one ever. And this one I must thank the CDF for his rash and careless attitude on handling matters which could be sensitive. He thought he's finishing Akela, he has given Akela a lifeline, and he has put Yoweri Museveni in a position where he will have to get out of this one, but not with the name of Obote. Obote's name must be clean now. We're dealing with this of 2026. Obote was not there. The other issue which I must raise about the CDF, and I think here in Uganda people are a bit scared to touch on this issue. The office you hold is a very high office. And the fact that you are son of a president, you must also watch your words and your actions. The sort of attitude and the sort of statements which have been coming out of the office of the CDF is an embarrassment to all of us as Ugandans. I must put this one clear, because it's an embarrassment. How can you talk about torturing or killing a person who stood in a presidential election and had a backing of over 2 million Ugandans according to the Electoral Commission? A leader of a party which has representation in the parliament of Uganda, the leading party in Uganda, and you want to treat it like, or treat the leader like some sort of punk? Honestly, what's happening in Uganda? Let's be honest with ourselves. What are we doing or what are we saying? If nobody is going to do so, I am the one who's going to call out in Mohozi. Please, grow up. Grow up. The responsibility which you want to assume as the President of the Republic, you cannot be behaving like this. You cannot. As Ugandans, we cannot be having this sort of issue. We cannot be in a situation where we're going to expect anybody who disagrees, we're going to face a firing squad, we're going to be put in a basement, you're going to be taught some language you don't know. That should not be happening in Uganda, not in 2026. Not on the question where we talk about democracy, elections. And here must also go further that those surrounding the power centers, what you're going to reap or what you're putting Uganda into, I put Uganda in the hands of God. Because people have an attitude that the resources belong to a political party. They don't. I come from the train of thought that the resources of Uganda are for all the people of Uganda. The government of the day is the one to administer it on behalf of every citizen. What is our national motto? For God? Whose country? No. Individually, you must say, my country. Now, if the resources of your country, my country, are being misused, they are being treated as if they belong to a political party, they're being used to undermine the democracy, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to be cheering? Not me. As somebody who comes from a political point of view, that the resources of Uganda are for all the citizens of Uganda, irrespective. It's not for UPC, it's not for NRM, it's for every citizen. The services are for every citizen. And there are people who are treating it like their own personal resources. Doing favors for friends. Let's do things for Uganda. At the end of this election, Uganda should be the winner. Not some people self-aggrandizing or positioning themselves thinking that 2031 is their cup of tea. No. I am not going to be quiet if you think that you're going to loot and turn this country into your own public purse. It will not happen. There are some of us who live for Uganda, who believe in Uganda, and we will not be silent if you think you can turn Uganda into your own personal issue. It will not happen. All of us as citizens have a stake in this Uganda. And some of us are ready to speak the truth to power, irrespective, without fear or favor. I went into this election with a clear plan of how we can improve the livelihoods of the citizens of Uganda. That was supposed to be the debate. I ended up being tied, one hand tied behind my back. I'm fighting with one hand tied behind my back. And despite that one, I'm still able to show some results. There's something I also want to touch on the question of iPod. Those of us who worked on iPod, who believe in iPod, we are disappointed on what took place. After the 2021 election, President Yoweri Museveni mentioned that the conduct of his people were unchristian. Another word for unchristian would be morally wrong, because there was funding due to the parties and the iPod, which was not released. So in January 2021, President Yoweri Museveni says that his people were unchristian in releasing this money. We come to 2025, all throughout, we don't get this money. On the processes leading to this election, we see some gimmicks being played on the floor of Parliament. It was one of the sessions where I became very emotional on the floor of Parliament. That's the time I said that this is my last time in Parliament. I could see people doing machinations to deny the political party's resources. But they hide the guise of, you cannot speculate. The rules of Parliament don't allow you to speculate. But even if I know what you're trying to do to me is going to hurt the parties, I'm not allowed to speculate. That's why I became emotional. What did they go and do? And how did I describe them? I described their behavior as diabolical. Diabolical means of the devil. Fiendish. That was before election. Now we've gone through another election. What do you describe these people as? Beyond diabolic, satanic. Satanic. Their behavior is completely satanic. They have no concern about Uganda. It's about what they can grab for themselves. As IPOD, we're trying to build political parties which can outlast us, which can help anchor our democracy. These are the after grabbing, after stealing, and after disorganizing the party. Where are they thinking they're taking this country? And all of you who know the motto for God and my country, where are you when your country is being taken to the dogs? Or the dogs are taking your country? For me, while I have breath, I will speak. While I have opportunity, I'll speak. Even if they bring these scarecrows and try to disorganize the UPC, where were they when we were fighting these battles? Honestly, you people of the media, we go through an electoral process. Before election, I had people claiming to be president of UPC, clamoring. Akena's blocking them, Akena. When the election came, they were nowhere to be seen. What happened to them? I remember in the teenage days when, we were out and a fight is breaking out, and those are saying, hold me, hold me, hold me. Those are going to be held. For me, when there's problem, I was at the house arrest in Lira, they wake up and they find me in a tally center and I left home. Surely. Who is who? Who has cared for this party? Who has cared for this party? Who has been there for this party? Every election I've been there. Every attempt I've been there. But yes, they are going to try to prop up some people to pretend to be leaders of UPC. The members of UPC know the leaders of UPC. UPC knows who it is, and as Ugandans, you must know where we're going as a future. And if there's nobody ready to call out some people who are misbehaving or who have failed to grow up, Jimmy Aken is ready to do so. Why? He's not the only son of a president. Compared to most of these others, I was born a son of a president. I was born a son of a president, son of a Republican president. That does not go away. But I must act responsibly. My words must mean something. And if you want to aim for the highest office of Uganda, come prepared, not with some nonsense. The other day I was saying on Twitter, I'll repair Kampala in one year. Surely, if it could be done in 1 year, why hasn't Museveni done it? He's been there 40 years. If you have access to influence policy, I'll influence it. You have access to the Minister of Kampala, you have access to the President, you have access. If you have the idea, bring it forward. Instead of hiding behind people, tweeting, insulting people, grow up, young man, grow up. On my own side, despite being denied the opportunity to present credible, realistic alternatives to the policy question, I remain active and committed to Uganda. For me, when Uganda wins, I win. And that's the philosophy of UPC. There are those who think that only if they win, Uganda wins. No, Uganda can win. And Uganda will proceed with or without any of us. That's the truth of life. We will pass, Uganda will continue. But let's build a Uganda which lasts beyond that. Let's build a Uganda which we can treasure. Let's build a Uganda which we can all love and not undermine the very principles of democracy which we claim to cherish. I say all of this for God and my country.